4 o'clock. Call this work session, council work session meeting to order. And for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, start with Councilor Pointer.
Alan Pointer.
Rob Ward.
Mary Magdalene, Nancy Harden.
Paul Miller.
Nikki Wood.
Elaine.
Elaine Armstrong.
Come on now.
Mayor Wood.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Nikki's not muted.
No, we
We can't hear you.
Elaine.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now?
Did we not?
Can you hear me now?
Relay K. Array Relay K.
Can you guys hear me?
Still can't hear you. Hang on. No, we can see you.
There.
Dear.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got
Okay.
Elaine.
Elaine Armstrong here.
Cool, okay. Agenda approval.
I would like to add an item 6E. Abatement.
Okay. Any other changes? Call for motion to approve the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
A second.
Motion been made by Councilor Ward and seconded by Councilor Hartman to approve the amended agenda. Any discussion? Call for vote. Councilor Pointer?
Oh, we're gonna go that way.
Yeah.
Councilor Pointer, aye.
Councilor Ward, aye.
Councilor Magdalene. Councilor Harden, aye.
Councilor Miller, aye.
Mayor Wood, aye.
Councilor Armstrong, aye.
Okay. Unanimous. Citizens' comments. You got some?
No.
Okay.
What? Linda.
There's not a sheet. I didn't make a sheet today. So if you would like to, by all means. It didn't mean anything.
Okay. Discussion items. Discussion item A, the employee handbook. What you got?
Well, it's in your packet is the draft employee handbook. If you have any like grammatical corrections or whatnot, if you could just email those to me, this will be coming back to council in another work session. Off the top of my head, I know there's been a recommendation that instead of using the word city administration to clarify it as city recorder / chief administrative officer for like the current titles in the office. I know the page numbers are messed up. Don't ask me why. So on packet page 19. You'll see that under section B, benefit eligibility. I currently have put 30 hours because that's the minimum for our insurance provider, is that if an employee works for 30 hours a week, they're eligible for benefits. So as much as this is an employee handbook, it's a good reference for staff, as we kind of learned with Amanda's situation. Which is why on the following page, under temporary, that temporary employment cannot exceed 600 hours and 6 months, because that is when they would become first eligible. So that's why that's been clarified in there.
So the use of the word "and" means that you have to exceed both.
Yes. And Elaine recommended moving them, so it's temporary employment cannot exceed 600 hours and 6 months. So I'll switch those around to make it a little more clear when people are reading it. Back on page 21. Section E has been added. This requires by law. It was not in our previous one. Oh, and just so you all know, this is CIS's model handbook that, so. Call out pay on packet page 22. This was never included in our handbook, but it's consistent with the current policy for our wastewater workers. So if there's any wanted changes there, feel free to let me know. So comp time.
What-
Sorry.
Excuse me, what is, the call out? Hey, there, what is is this our current policy right now?
Yeah,
As it is.
practicing policy, yes.
Yeah.
We don't have a written policy,
Yeah,
yes,
yes.
yes,
That's fine.
yes.
Okay.
Compensatory time, which is at the bottom of packet page 22. The blue is a comment from CIS, which essentially says we are not required to. And so this is essentially a council decision whether or not we want to continue offering comp time.
Wait, if we want to offer what time?
Comp time.
That help with the increased taxes.
Courtney,
Yes,
the fact that we are limiting it to 40 hours and at the end of June, we pay it out so it doesn't continue to be a liability. I think it's a good thing to have because some people may prefer to carry a few hours of comp time on the book so that they can take off if they need to.
okay, so are you recommending that we keep the comp time?
I would be for it. I don't know how rest of council feels.
But it's cheaper to pay over.
And then, I mean, do you want them to be able to cash it out or just have a carryover amount?
What are we doing now? Carry it over?
I don't want them to lose it.
No.
No, but instead of having to cash it out,
Right.
they would just be allowed to carry it over to a certain.
I like
amount.
carrying it. I like that.
I think it's not cashing it out in June is for to end the fiscal year cleanly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm sorry, Courtney, I couldn't hear what Rob said.
I'm suggesting that the mandate to cash out comp time at the end of June is, rather than carrying it over, is an accounting tool so that the fiscal year is ended without having an additional manpower debt to the next year's budget.
I agree. That way we know where we stand because comp time is a liability on the books.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and then moving on to page 23. Flex time. Was included in our 2012 handbook, so it's been added into this as well. And then off-duty participation was also included in our 2012 handbook, and so that has been included as well. At the bottom of that page, the red is just to kind of clarify some of the wording provided by CIS. Page 24. It says, middle of the page payroll policies, currently the city allows a minimum payroll draw of no more than 50% of their standard salary. The current handbook specified 35%, but current practice is 50, so I went with the 50. All right, packet page 26. Yeah, so we've just added a call-in procedure of how you notify your supervisor that you're not gonna be at work. The leave without pay, we had a policy in our 2012 handbook, it was quite vague, so I've just updated the language to be a little more clear.
Late arrivals, early departures, or other absences from scheduled hours are disruptive and must be avoided. Should we strengthen that, avoided? Then what?
Well, that falls under like the violation policy, like I believe it's a written reprimand first and then it moves from there.
Oh, it's stated someplace else.
Yeah, I believe. Should be. Yeah, because if they continue to do that, then it would be a violation of this portion of the policy, which could result in a reprimand.
And do we say what that is, the reprimand?
There's a process.
Okay.
Like a verbal warning, a written warning,
Vacation. So well, this kind of goes into a later one, but one of the recommendations from council was to increase our probationary period from 6 months to 1 year. So the vacation policy is written that they can use their vacation at 6 months. So they would still have 6 months of probation. So that's kind of a council decision if you want to extend the vacation time to the 1 year mark as well, or if you want to leave it at the 6 month.
6 months.
Okay. And then the years of service has just been updated to match our 2012 policy, so we're actually above the minimum standards required by law. So that's what all the red there is. And then I have it that full-time regular employees may accrue vacation leave up to a maximum of 300 hours, which is consistent with our current policy. The next question for council is vacation pay upon termination. So the law does not require that we pay accrued but unused vacation leave at the time of an employee's departure. And I don't believe our current handbook really addresses this. So it is basically it's council's decision as to whether or not you want to pay it out. I've written a suggestion in here that employees who have completed 24 months of employment will be paid. Anyone under that will not.
Courtney, may I?
Yes.
I like the 24 months. But so if they can accrue a maximum of it, is it 150 hours?
300 for full.
300. So that could be potentially a huge chunk that we'd be paying out. What about doing like half of their accrued vacation or something?
That's up to council.
Well, how many people are really gonna have that many hours banked?
Dennis?
Use
Yeah, most people.
We have 2 employees right now who are maxed. That the council has actually allowed them to carry over even more. Yeah. So yeah, Nikki's correct. It could be a big chunk of change, potentially.
Because also as their wages go up and you carry it over, the liability goes up. But that
Mhm.
would be up to their supervisor or you to make sure they take it. So we could put that in about you only get paid half, so that would be an incentive for them to take it.
Yeah. Mhm. I mean, this is also not anything the council needs to decide tonight, so yeah.
I think,
I mean, I could also come up with a table similar to the vacation, like if you know, make this, if you hit this many years with the city, you get, 25% of your vacation hours, 50% at 75. If you guys wanted to do it that way, so that like the people with longevity are rewarded. I like that idea.
I like that idea.
Good.
Could that make it confusing, or do you think that would be easy for staff to handle?
No, I mean, we put it in a table, it makes it pretty easy to read, and then once council's done, this goes to CIS for their review of any of our changes, so I could be coming back to you and saying CIS said we can't do this, so. Okay.
Okay.
I think we should encourage them to take some sort of vacation each year. If it's not, if they're entitled to 4 weeks, maybe not 4 weeks, but they really need to take a vacation. That's the whole, that's the reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, good to not take, it's
No.
breaks.
Could we put something in there that says mandate that they take so many days per year unless approved by the city recorder, the C or whatever CEO or whatever you are, unless approved?
Whatever you are.
Yeah, I keep confusing this chief administrative officer.
And
So
then chow.
Pardon?
Chow.
Cow.
Elaine. CAO. Chow.
oh, I can see a policy that I don't call you a cow. I could get in trouble for that. So, okay, but don't you think that if we put something in mandating that you shall take unless otherwise approved so many days a year? Because like it says, this past year with shortage of staff, of course, it's not practical. And that's why this council agreed to carry over a thing, but we need to get a handle on it.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean-
Legally, you could mandate people to take vacation.
Well, I mean, in some ways, we essentially do by telling them that they can only carry over so many hours.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a use it or lose it game. So. But I mean, like, I can certainly ask. I would think that was weird. Unless, like the council was like, we're closing city hall for, the last week in December and everyone's required to use their vacation time. Or something like that, but I don't know that we could necessarily force them, but I can certainly ask. Oh. So, packet page 28, sick leave. I have added that the city does not pay out unused sick leave, and that's consistent with their 2012 policies. Oh, down below, eligibility and accrual of paid sick leave, the council has a decision. Let's see here. Okay, so Employees begin to accrue paid sick leave on the first day of employment, but may not use paid sick leave until the 91st day of employment. Or employees may accrue and use up to 40 hours of paid sick leave per calendar year. Paid sick leave shall accrue at the rate of 1 hour for every 30 hours worked until the 40-hour yearly accrual cap is reached.
I have a problem with this one here because currently we give them one sick day per month. So that's 96 hours. And I just, we may not, like last year, we didn't give a raise, but we at least we give them the sick leave. And to say you can only do 40 hours, that's a lot. But what if somebody is planning a knee surgery or something and they're gone for a time? It's a hardship to the city, but I think we're slashing their benefits too much.
But wasn't family leave?
No,
No?
so we do not have enough employees to allow them to qualify for FMLA or OAH. Paid leave, Oregon would step in. Okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So anyway, we have to make some sort of decision because, over in the comments, I added that our current policy is 1 hour for every 40 hours, which does not meet the minimum legal standards. So
I would prefer that option. I feel like that's usually pretty standard at the 91st day if you use the vacation time.
You're talking about accrual.
Or sick leave.
our accrual rate is not.
So, but 30 hours, then 1 hour for every 30 hours worth.
Yep. Yes, that's
That's based on, that's 1,200 hours, which is need to do the full time.
But then Elaine is suggesting potentially 40 hours doesn't seem like a lot. It's only 1 week of sick leave per calendar year.
Courtney, our current handbook says 8 hours per month.
Correct.
That's maybe 6 hours.
And our current manual says that it's not, unused sick leave is not paid at termination, and that there doesn't say anything about not being able to carry it over. Because they lose it when they leave, it's not really a liability to the city to have them accrue it.
Correct.
Question is, where do we want to tap it at?
I'm sorry, but reading this now, below under pay rate and carryover, the very last sentence in that section is sick leave accrual is capped at 8 hours. So they accrue up to 40 hours of paid sick leave per calendar year. But then they would be allowed to carry over as much up to 80 hours.
And also says here that they can only use 40 hours each calendar year.
I mean, so we could take out the use section and just state that employees may accrue up to 40 hours per calendar year. But then they can carry over up to 80.
And that makes more sense because otherwise the accrual of 80 doesn't mean anything.
Right.
We can have use on 40.
That's true, okay.
I feel like 1 week sick leave is pretty standard. Right.
It's the minimum.
Yeah.
Okay. So then employees may accrue up to 40 hours of paid sick leave per calendar year. Paid sick leave shall accrue at the rate of 1 hour for every 30 hours worked until the 40-hour yearly accrual cap is reached. And then it says that paid sick leave shall be taken in hour of increments.
Mm. So they could use it for doctor's appointments and stuff.
So when do you want them to be able to start using their sick leave?
I think the night after 90 days.
Okay, so essentially both.
Yeah.
You put down that they have to use their sick leave in hour increments, right?
Okay.
The problem I have with that is that because we don't have a doctor's office right down the street. So to drive into North Bend is half an hour, or to drive to Reedsport could be, close to half an hour. That if somebody is trying to save their sick leave, they could drive there. They have an hour of travel time, but their appointments is only 20 minutes. They could be back at work in an hour and a half. So I think you should have it in half an hour increments, so that you're not making them say, oh, well, I'll just sit out in my car for half an hour because I'm going to lose it anyhow. What do you guys think? It's not like when I used to run to the eye doctor and you're 5 minutes away in North Bend and then you're back again. You have half an hour travel time. And if your appointment is only a few minutes to pick up a prescription or something, then you're penalizing them and making them use a full hour when in reality they could use an hour and a half.
I would just take a lunch break.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Say,
Get lunch.
Yeah, but
make your appointment for 11:30 and take.
all right.
I see your point, Elaine, and I agree. If they should be able to use it
Less.
shouldn't be an hour. Yeah, less than an hour.
Yes.
All right, so paid sick leave shall be taken in half-hour increments.
Pardon? Okay. I couldn't hear you for a second.
I see the wisdom in them.
Okay, so then it looks like on package page 30, there's a little bit of redundancy. In terms of the sick leave is repeated. So that's weird. We're gonna remove section C on page 30.
Yeah, so the same thing.
Yeah. Then on page 31, we're going to remove the carryover because that is already way to go, CIS. It's also already and then it looks like use of sick leave can also be removed on page 31. And all of page 32.
Courtney, what about number 4 it's in the red about absence associated with the death of a family member, attending funeral, planning, grieving the death is up to 40 hours. I could not find grievance benefits in this new manual. Are they there?
What page are you on?
I'm on packet page 31. The red number 4 under 3 use of sick leave. So are you saying is that the only place where there's bereavance?
Bereavement.
Packet page 31.
No, it's packet page 29, about halfway down the page, number 4. Absence associated with the death of a family member.
Okay, oh, well, it's also duplicated on page 31 that you're going to remove, but so does the city, they're no longer giving bereavements separate from the using your sick leave?
Correct.
So you're taking away bereavements pay. And we're limiting the hours of sick leave. So if they have to deal with a funeral or something, we're giving them nothing besides their sick leave they have to use, they can use, and if they have 40, they can use 40. I don't
Well,
think
that is a question written on the bottom of packet page 31. Some cities allow up to 2 weeks specifically for a death. The current policy is 5 days and 40 hours.
so, but it has to be listed under bereavement leave, right?
Bereavement leave? So essentially, that is the question to council. Do you want to create a separate bereavement leave policy? Or do you want to keep it under sick leave, which is the legal minimum?
Does our,
Yeah, policy.
Yeah, I think if we could come up with some sort of bereavement.
Okay,
That
well,
would be good, I don't know what that would look like exactly.
Yeah, then you also have the question of whether that's paid leave or unpaid leave.
Yeah.
I mean, I would write it so that the staff could use any available leave to them. And then if that is available, then it becomes unpaid. Would be, okay.
When I worked at the bank, we had 3 days of bereavement.
Yeah. I think that's thing.
But I believe it's OFLA or FMLA that does 2 weeks. But we don't hit that minimum, so, okay.
so was Counselor Hardin's recommendation to give them 3 days paid so they don't have to use their leave unless they choose to use it for more? Is that what you said?
That's what she said a previous employer had.
Oh, okay. It's hard to hear, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So does council want to provide staff with a paid minimum or simply a bereavement policy that allows them to use any available paid leave for up to 2 weeks?
I think the city should give them 3 days of paid bereavement leave, and you list what it could be for immediate family, the definition. And if they want to use more, they have to use their own accrued leave. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I have to get going to my next session at the conference, but I did want to bring up a point on the packet for HR purposes. We've talked about it before about having a third party HR company and some sort of grievance process for the employees to go to instead of their direct supervisor. I think we should try to take a look at that. And I talked to Courtney about it today because CIS offers something. So I would like to have maybe something put in place where we can put that into our employee handbook when the time comes.
Will do. Okay. At the page 33. Holidays and floating holidays.
Have a good rest of your day, Nikki.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
So I have suggested the addition of Juneteenth and Columbus Day for a total of 12 paid holidays per year.
Not Columbus Day anymore.
I'm sorry, I am a Columbus Day baby. It will always be Columbus Day.
Me too.
But do we need to be politically correct?
I will double check that. What is it, Founder's Day?
It's Indigenous
Indigenous
peoples.
Peoples' Day.
Juneteenth?
No.
Columbus Day.
Columbus Day.
Oh, what they changed it to.
Um. So another decision under that same section is the last sentence there, any hourly non-exempt employee required to work on a holiday will receive overtime pay. So that would specifically be our sewer workers mostly, so. The comment is employers are not required to pay double time. So I guess that would be a council decision. If you want to do overtime or double time,
So time and a half versus.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, sorry, time and a half versus double time.
I think time and a half is.
Okay.
Reason, that's my
Yeah.
opinion. Plus,
You do.
plus they still are getting their holiday pay too. Right?
Well, no, that,
They work on a holiday,
so an employee having to work on a holiday
Yes.
would receive 1.5 times pay for their shift. That is their holiday pay, is that they get overtime for those, essentially they get overtime for those hours.
for the day.
Personal holidays.
Wait,
um,
Courtney, you
yes.
said that the Columbus Day and the handbook, they already got. So the only one you're adding is Juneteenth Day, right?
Correct,
In the employee's handbook.
correct.
Okay, so they did have Columbus. So the only one we're really adding is Juneteenth Day.
Correct.
Okay.
Personal holidays, I did a poll on OMAR or OAMR. And it seems the standard is 2 personal holidays, but that is of course a council decision.
I had trouble parsing that sentence. Because employees can select 2 additional days on any 4 non-consecutive days. So I didn't understand how I'm choosing 2 days on 4 days.
You can't take a personal day on like Thanksgiving week where we already have 2 paid days off. It has to be a 4-day work week to use a floating holiday. So like you could take it like Memorial Day weekend, you could take a Tuesday off. But like Thanksgiving week, you can't take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, using a personal holiday. You can use your vacation pay. That's what it's meant to say. It may need clarified.
I think that's all I'm getting at.
Yeah, if that's even something council wants to do, you could allow them to use their personal holidays whenever they want.
I think they should be able to take it anytime they want. It's time on the books for them. And I think that the next sentence where you can't take more than one at a time, I think they should be able to take it when they want, as long as they approve it with you first. And if it doesn't work for the office, it doesn't work.
There. Yeah.
You guys, sorry, the council is saying they get 2 floating holidays to use as they wish. Based on approval of their supervisor.
Right.
Okay. Mhm. I know at least one counselor brought up the next sentence, floating holidays may be used in full day increments only, partial days are not allowed. Okay.
So you're saying they can only use it in full days?
Correct.
Okay, once again, I think that in maybe 1 hour increments, because we've cut their sick leave down. I think it's important to give them the flexibility if they need, because if they have to take half a day off, what if we need staffing? So we need to be flexible. So they'll say, well, I only need to take half a day off. I can come in the morning and help. Don't you want to be flexible and help with coverage?
Counselor Armstrong, we did not cut their sick leave, we actually increased it.
Their book says, the past manual says 8 hours a day, a month.
Right, and the new manual says 1 hour for every 30 hours worked.
Okay. All right, let me get my little calculator. You're saying. I'm sorry, Courtney, can you please help me on this? If it says 8 hours per month, they work 280 hours a year. But if you give them 12 days of sick leave, 12 times 8 is 96. So we're not cutting it?
On packet page 28, under eligibility and accrual of paid sick leave,
Uh-huh.
it will read employees may accrue up to 40 hours of paid sick leave per calendar. Paid sick leave shall accrue at the rate of 1 hour for every 30 hours worked. They are allowed under the next section 2 on the very last sentence. Sick leave accrual is capped at 80 hours.
Okay.
The current policy is 1 hour for every 40 hours worked.
The current ones, okay.
And that's changing to 30 hours.
Correct.
64 to 65, unless I've been reading it wrong.
We're getting this again with a workshop, right?
Yes.
We gotta move on.
Okay, on page in the packet 129, packet page 129, staff will receive 1 sick day for every month of service. So 12 months, 12 times 8 is 96 hours. Second sentence, packet page 129. And I can't see how 80 hours or 40 hours is more than 96, unless I'm doing the math wrong.
Do you think this old employee handbook doesn't reflect current policy?
This is the handbook is the one the city's using.
I'm not seeing any numbers on packet page 129.
Packet.
It's the second sentence.
Will receive 1 sick day for every month of service.
And it says sick leave can be used after you have received your first paycheck.
it sounds like you're accruing sick leave quicker to the max of 40, but you're decreasing the amount that they have in the bank. Because you're saying that cap it out at 40, but it can be accrued up to 80. So if the original one was 96, you're decreasing the amount of sick leave that they will have on the books.
But we're increasing the rate by which
You're
they're,
increasing the rate, so they're going to be getting basically 4 days and 3 months.
Okay, but you're not increasing it. There currently is 2 hours for 40 hours.
Linda is saying that we're increasing the rate by which they accumulate the hours, but that we are reducing the overall cap.
Right.
So 2 hours, 1 hour for every 20 hours work, because currently they get 2 hours per week, basically 2 hours per week. That's 1 hour for 20. You want to go 1 hour for 30. Michael,
Wasn't it 8 hours for 30? You're gonna accrue 8 hours one day.
No, it's 1 hour
Oh,
for
okay.
30 hours worked. Okay, so does the council want to stick with the 1 hour per month and the cap of 96? Which would meet the minimum standards.
Didn't see a cap of 96, where was that?
Well, there may not be a cap, that would just be how much they could accumulate in a year. That doesn't make any sense.
I think we just need to revisit this.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Additional thought on this.
Okay.
You know, jumbled up, you know.
I know, sort of. I know.
Like, trying to count something when someone's over here going 10, 15, 18.
All right,
My
so
brain's just not mathematical.
quickly, I want to just kind of jump through to some of the other council decisions.
Yeah.
Give it just a couple more minutes on this. Kind of page 36. Use of accrued leave during PLO. So PLO benefits generally only cover a portion of an employee's wages. Some cities allow employees to use their accrued paid leave so that they get 100% of their benefits. Some cities allow employees to use the paid leave Oregon and their accrued time off and get more than 100% of their wages. It is essentially our decision.
But our employees don't qualify for FMLA.
This paid leave Oregon.
Oh,
So
got it.
PLO,
Okay.
which is the paid benefits. So.
I think if they have it coming, or if they take basic pay or whatever, it's at their discretion how to use it. If they want to use it in conjunction with the paid leave Oregon, they may need it for whatever reason.
So you'd be comfortable with them being on a paid leave and getting more in wages than they would if they were working.
They're gonna, well, the stuff, they're gonna use it up, so. They take it all at once or. Save it, so,
And it's true.
Their discretion.
It is theirs.
yeah.
I thought paid leave Oregon was 75%.
Like 70 or 75%, something in there.
Up to their discretion, right?
That's just my thought. Yes, possibility of abuse is always there in any kind of thing like this, but there are times when things come up where there truly is a dire need, an emergency, and if that's available to them, they will need it.
Packet page 41, that language has been, updated to include the current policy of the city, which basically means employees who elect optional and voluntary plan benefits are responsible for the cost of those benefits. So the city pays for the basic minimums of their health insurance. I think we get a small life insurance policy, dental, vision, and I think short-term disability. And then anything after that is the employee's choice and the employee's pay.
Courtney,
Um, 49, real quickly, I have added a section to include city issued mobile devices and on-call compensation. So currently, this is not currently included in our handbook. So the current compensation is $1 per hour staff are carrying the phone. Other potential compensation could be $15 a weekday or $30 a weekend day or holiday. So that's something for council to read on and think about, and I'll ask your thoughts next month. Packet page 58. Political activities have been, this is based on CIS's model policy on political activity. The bad weather and emergency closing has been created. That is everything that council needed to decide on.
Courtney, can we go back to page 37? I just see where donation of sick leave, third paragraph from the bottom, where if an employee who receives donated leave may receive no more than 40 hours within a calendar year, any sick leave not used, do the council want it to go back to the donor employee? What if two employees say, here's 10 hours apiece? Are you gonna keep track of it, or does it, once you donate it fully and it stays with the employee? Is that gonna be a nightmare for you to try to return 2.5 hours to each employee?
I honestly don't know.
That's why I would say once you give it, it's gone. What is everybody else's thought?
Yeah, can't be an Indian giver.
Yeah, plus if someone's giving you a sick, why would you use?
Anything
And
else?
if they didn't use it, they could always donate it back,
Right.
you know, be the simplest. You know, do that, I think. Won't make it overly complicated. Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope. Okay. That completes that discussion item A, right? Okay, on to item B, vacation rental ordinance.
Any comments, questions?
Rather a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. First is, the question is whether the VLCD has been notified about this.
No, this is a draft only.
Okay, that's good because it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
So the proposal here is to create a new section of municipal code that deals only with vacation rentals. Vacation rentals is a form of lodging or land use,
mhm,
which really should be in the land use code.
right,
And so this is procedurally weird. It's taking something that should be in section 155 and pulling it out and creating a whole new code section.
Oh.
That creates an opportunity to have two inconsistent bodies of code.
so then I would need to update this, because well, it's going to be in the land use code.
The
It's
land use code is currently in municipal code section 155.
Okay, then I need to update the numbers, because it's meant to be a land use code.
So if I was trying to make something like this and working it into the current land use code, what I would have done is I would have put a definition of vacation rental or short-term rental
Mhm,
into the current land use code.
mhm,
And it would have created that as a new land use.
okay.
And it would have listed what zones it's allowed in or conditionally allowed in.
So the planning commission's recommendation, who just came up with this, is that we no longer specify where a vacation rental can and cannot be zone wise. That we are essentially allowing vacation rentals to be within any zone in the city per this process.
Yeah, and there's problems with that. For one thing, it's in some ways inconsistent with the city's comprehensive plan. And the planning commission is supposed to make code recommendations that are consistent with state law first, comprehensive plan second. So those take precedence over our code. And then there's some weird situations that can arise if you take that approach. Suppose there's an industrial site, which we don't have at the moment,
Mhm,
and it has a caretaker house on it.
mhm,
This doesn't exist at the moment, but it's allowed under our code.
mhm.
And then somebody decides, hey, I'm gonna do a vacation rental in this caretaker house on this industrial site. So that's technically allowed under this proposal.
Okay.
Do you want, from a planning perspective, do you want, people to be operating vacation rentals that are physically adjacent to and directly competing with other forms of lodging in commercial districts?
The planning commission discussed that and doing like, marijuana shops can't be within 1,000 feet of each other. There was talk about doing something like that, like restricting how close they could be, and they kind of just settled on an overall cap. There can't be more than right now 100 vacation rentals in the city, which is about 10% of the available housing in the city. And we're not even anywhere near that cap. So that was the plan commission's
Okay.
thoughts.
And then, continuing on this theme of it should all be under 155.
Yeah.
One of the basic provisions of the land use code 155 is that if a land use, property use is not specifically stated as allowed in that code, it's not allowed.
Okay,
So by taking this vacation rental use and putting it in a separate section outside of 155, you now have 155 saying vacation rentals aren't allowed, and 156 saying vacation rentals are allowed everywhere. And I can see property owners and staff being confused by that.
So essentially you're saying we have to update if we want to allow vacation rentals outside of the commercial zone, which is currently the only place they're permitted outright.
That's almost correct.
Okay, almost correct. Then we need to update the land use code to allow them either outright or conditionally in all zones.
If that is their intent,
Right,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
So then I guess my question is, we could do that and then potentially incorporate this more as like a business license procedure?
So I was gonna get to that.
Okay, I'll
Um,
wait then.
so it might be fair to state that not out of intention, but just by accident, the city currently has a policy that doesn't allow vacation rentals in most of the residential zone. And that arose mostly because when the codes were written, there was no such thing as a short-term rental. But now there is. So what we're considering here is a change in policy, and we have council rules on that. And it says we're supposed to use a 9-step proactive mode for policy changes. And the first thing is to identify the problem and needs, to establish community goals, then determine objectives, and then develop and analyze alternative means for achieving those objectives. And then the last one is to obtain feedback, see how it's working. So, I don't know if if the planning, us or the planning commission have even touched that.
I would say personally, in some ways you have, we know it's a known issue that vacation rentals exist
They do.
out in residential zones. And that they're operating either knowingly or unknowingly. We know of some of them just give us TLT taxes and, know they're not supposed to exist. We have some that try to operate under the radar. So I would say we have identified the problem. And I believe the objective is to essentially recognize and legalize vacation rentals so that we can get the TLT revenue. And by essentially legalizing them, we allow them to come out from under the clouds and say, hey, I'm here. And we created hopefully a mechanism or the start of a mechanism to help that, to start that process.
Okay. There's some pretty significant fees proposed
Yes.
in this, and also a cap. So, if you have someone who wants to operate a vacation rental and doesn't feel obligated to pay those fees and doesn't feel obligated to operate within that cap, then you're still in the situation we're in today, where you have somebody deciding, "Oh, I'll just go room."
Correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, the planning commission did also come up with a pretty hefty fine as well.
That's in some ways problematic too.
Yes.
Okay. It's stated in the draft that, these regulations are needed to protect neighborhood character and livability, and that's in the proposed code as well. So this is suggesting, because it's about neighborhoods and livability, that the intent is to do something about short-term rentals in residential zones. As though they may be problematic there, as though, let me say they were. So we're going to permit short-term rentals in residential zones in order to preserve the character of residential zones. Seems kind of circular. we currently have 3 residential zones. There's the general single family, the multifamily, and the recreational residential. And currently, vacation rentals are not permitted in the general single family or the multifamily zones. They're conditionally permitted in the recreational residential zone. Under, but not explicitly. It's under this really weird conditional use of
Lodging.
no, not lodging. It's a conditionally permitted use of a commercial enterprise associated with a permitted use. And a previous planning commission said, well, the house is the permitted use and the lodging is the commercial activity, so we can do a conditional use permit for that. Now, I've always been kind of troubled by that. You know, I think the approach that's been made here to come up with a set of standards and then allow it as a permitted use consistent with those standards is a good idea. I don't think all these things need to be conditionally permitted.
Okay.
I think that would be great.
Okay.
But we do have to make sure that this is consistent with state law. Has this been reviewed for that?
No.
Okay. And then it also has to be consistent with our comprehensive plan. The closest thing I could find in our comprehensive plan that would support vacation rentals is in State Planning Goal 8, Recreational Needs, City Policy 7, and that reads in whole as support development of seasonal cabins with kitchen facilities as appropriate. That's not really what we're doing here, but okay. I think, you know, for the time when that was written, that's probably not bad. State Goal 9, Economic Development, City Policy 4 reads in whole as encourage private business and facilities that enhance tourism and recreation, including but not limited to ATV businesses, RV parks, mobile home parks, lodging, marinas, marine repair and tackle shops, gift shops, markets, cafes, and fueling facilities. So this policy is calling on the city to enact land use codes that encourage the offering of lodging service by private business and facilities, and the city's done that. That raises the question, though, of whether the extent of the use of residential dwellings to provide lodging services provides a meaningful direct competition with these private businesses. You know, is 100 vacation rentals too many? What's that going to do to the lodge? What's that going to do to McKay's Market during the winter if there's 100 fewer housing units? Right? State Planning Goal 10, housing, provides a single goal of provide opportunities in the housing market to serve lakeside citizens at varying income levels, taking citizen needs and desires into consideration. And every vacation rental that enters that market represents the loss of 1 unit of available housing. So those are kind of my global considerations. And that last one, we can probably expect, once we do go forward with something like this at the DLCD, you might have external interest groups putting pressure on us to preserve our housing stock. Just saying we should prepare for that. Going through the actual draft on packet page 147, section 156.020, there's definitions. There's a definition there for owner-occupied vacation rentals and non-owner occupied vacation rentals. And you only need those definitions if there's some compelling need to treat those two classes of vacation rentals differently. And the planning commission did, but I don't think we should.
Okay.
Now, packet page 148, section 156.030, license required. So operating a vacation rental is a business enterprise, it's a form of lodging. And now we're proposing to subject this commercial enterprise to a licensing requirement that's greatly in excess of the licensing requirements imposed on other forms of business, including other forms of lodging. And that seems highly prejudicial. So if we're charging that $1,000 initial licensing fee or $500 renewal fee for a vacation rental in a house, then why aren't we charging similar fees for every room at the lodge? That seems equitable. So I don't think we should be charging those fees for vacation. Also, on page 148 is section 156.035, which is a limitation on licenses. And yes, there needs to be a limitation on license. The proposal here is 10% of total residential dwelling units within the city, or 100, whichever is less. And I don't know how they arrived at this recommendation. It's in excess of what's typical in jurisdictions that limit the number of vacation rentals. Research publications suggest that meaningful negative impacts on communities are seen when the density of communities or neighborhoods, when the density of vacation rentals reach or exceed 5% of available housing stock. In 2021, the city of North Bend adopted regulations like this that set the maximum number of units at 64. And I thought this was an interesting number. And so I talked to their city planner at the time as to how they arrived at that number. And they said that they decided not to exceed 3% of their total housing stock. And that's how they came to the number of 64. Lakeside hasn't conducted a formal housing inventory, even though our comprehensive plan calls for one. I myself conducted an informal inventory in 2023. And at that time, it looked to me that there were 941 lots in residential use. And the number of lots is probably close to the same as the number of dwellings, because Lakeside doesn't have any apartments and has relatively few accessory dwelling units. And so if there was a 5% limit, that would be 47 units. If there was a 3% unit like North Bend has, that would be only 28 units. Section was license applications. My personal suggestion is that property owners apply for a permit to operate a vacation rental. And obtaining that permit would be a prerequisite for them to obtain a business license. Subsection C reads, failure to complete the application or to provide information requested by the city may result in denial of the license or permit. And I suggest we change may to shall. We too often had applications that were motively incomplete that got approved. Subsection D proposes an application fee of $1,000. I think is way too high. It doesn't fall within our comprehensive plan's requirement to encourage private businesses and facilities that enhance tourism and recreation. I think we should have an application that's priced in a manner that covers the cost of processing.
Do you know what North Pines is?
They don't have one. So they have a set of standards, which is much shorter than this proposal. There isn't a separate permitting or licensing process. They get a business license like anyone else. There's no additional fees. They have a cap and a waiting list. And there's also, besides the size of the fee, there's the mandatory allocation to a specific budget category, which was code enforcement. And while I understand the motivation there and think it's great, it creates the impression that a specific type of business is being taxed in order to support that, as though they contribute to the need for that.
Rob, before
Yes.
Rob, before you continue, I have a question about a conditional use permit. If they were to get that, would that then put it on the planning commission to review and make sure they can put it where they need to? Help me understand that, if you could.
If you require a land use to have a conditional use permit, then you require them to have a hearing before the planning commission to approve that.
Okay,
That is a significant obstacle, both in terms of time and financial expense. It also is a resource draw on the time of the planning commission. Our codes say that a conditional use permit is supposed to be for land use that requires additional consideration for possible novel limitations or standards to be imposed on that use. It also sets up a situation where that sort of permit, you either have to put a specific expiration condition or timetable on it, or it will be something that goes with the land and carries over to the next owner. And the only way to revoke one, if the property owner doesn't comply with the conditions, is to have the planning commission hold a hearing to possibly revoke it. So, having a conditional use permit involved really limits your administrative or procedural capacity to make corrections. Does that answer your question?
kind of. I was wondering, because it's listed in here, would that solve the problem of them being able to put it where you're saying that it shouldn't be like in a commercial, residential, single-family residential and that? Could they get a conditional use permit to allow it?
You could craft the code that way. I don't see any advantage to it. I'm suggesting permit it. Just let them do it. Don't make them go to the planning commission and go through a hearing for it.
Yeah, it's either yes or no.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Meet these standards or don't do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so they would be doing another process, but to make sure they can do it, right?
I'm not understanding your question.
Because I don't truly understand this still. If send the
Sorry, okay, Bob's saying that there wouldn't be a process, that he thinks we should just outright permit vacation rentals in the city. Is that correct, Rob?
I'm saying, yes, you should not involve the planning commission
Yeah.
in every application for a vacation rental.
Yeah, but it would just be potentially a business license and they have a vacation rental. So to speak.
For our code now, it says you can have a vacation rental here, but you can't have one here.
Right, but we expand the ability for the zones that you can have a vacation rental in.
Right.
Yeah, yes. So Rob is almost saying to 86, this draft ordinance altogether.
There's some good things in it.
Yes, but just update. I think what I would want to do at this point is work on updating the land use code to allow, to expand where vacation rentals are allowed, define them in our code, and then potentially take some of this and put it more in the business regulation side of our code as it applies directly to vacation rentals.
You could do that, or you could put in, a section in the land use code that has this.
Okay.
The current land use code has a specified for section for, if you have a gas station, you have to meet all these standards. If you have an RV park, it has to meet all these standards. Campground, you have to meet all these standards. So you could make a subsection that has all those standards in it. And then under each individual zone where you're permitting this kind of use, you can put as a use vacation rental subject to section blah, blah.
Right,
And
the
they're
cottage,
required to meet all of those.
yeah, cottage industries and home occupations are written that way. You know, it says
Exactly.
in the land use code under, I don't know, don't quote me exactly, Elaine, but it says, you know, under recreational residential zone, you can have a cottage industry if it meets the requirements of section blah, blah, blah.
That's exactly right.
So we wanna work on the section blah, blah, blah.
Right, yeah.
It's
So
that
that's,
section blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Put it in the land use code
Yeah.
with all the other land uses.
Yeah.
Really, not just simplifying it, really.
yeah. I'm just wondering, Rob, because this is more, if we take out like the application process and all of that, to me, this reads more like an enforcement code.
Well, that's a problem too. Because we have enforcement codes. And
Right,
instead of referencing them here,
okay,
new ones have been created,
okay,
right? And so without going into too much detail, this draft is saying, okay, if somebody starts to operate a vacation rental, and now we have violations or complaints, well, the disciplinary hearing goes before the planning commission.
mhm,
That's not how we do anything here.
okay,
And then the appeal is through the city council, and what I'm suggesting is you use the enforcement processes we already have in place.
okay,
A violation is something that's noted and imposed at the staff level, and the person's appeal is to go before the city's hearing officer.
okay,
And you don't need a separate fee schedule for violations either, you already have one established.
okay. I think I get what you're saying there.
Rob, so are you saying that if there is a way to make it so that there could be Airbnbs, vacation rentals located throughout the city in the single family zone and the multiple zone and all this, if we do a procedure right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
And I'm also saying that we want to be mindful of how much is too much.
that's right.
Yeah.
I got that. I just wanted to make sure because originally you were saying that they shouldn't be allowed in this zone, this zone, this zone. And by doing a permitted process, we should be able to allow them if we do everything, right?
We don't think you should be having vacation rentals in industrial land or open spaces, which is reserved for parks and things like that. From
Okay,
a zoning perspective, that's more of a concern. But I don't think there's a problem having lodging in commercial zones, and this is a form of lodging. And if, you know, there's a a community decision made that this is gonna be opened up into all the residential zones, then that's what the community wants.
We've probably heard enough about that.
Yeah, I've got a good direction
Yeah.
from you all before I
Yeah.
think we need to go, so I'll. Yeah,
Yeah. Just a couple of quick things.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can. There's a thing in there that giving the city the right to inspect. I don't know if we can do that.
Oh, if that rule is required. Should be an inspection.
I think it should read an external inspection, just like in our code, like I can drive by a property and notate the code violations, so.
Right.
We don't expect. Which are logical. The other.
I mean, I do when I go in there, I'm like, is it clean in here?
Not formally, not formally.
Yeah.
There was one more thing that
Mhm.
I noted was. The section on existing vacation rentals. Which is on packet page 151.
Mhm.
The proposal there is. To convert any existing vacation rental into this current proposal, and you might not be able to do that with vacation rental that's got a conditional use permit.
Okay.
So I think the standards might, we'd have to ask Gary about this, the standards might be able to apply. But when you give someone a conditional use permit for a particular use,
Mhm.
you can't then bring in new code that revokes or changes it. They get to continue with what's called a non-conforming use for as long as they want to.
Okay. Well, if we remove the permitting process altogether, then this wouldn't apply.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Some questions that I asked that we could address, we change it. And it's this one's one you raised, can someone park an RV on their lot next to their house and use it as a vacation rental? Hmm.
Yeah.
If we don't want to allow that, I have language suggestions to stop that.
Okay, perfect.
Also in the RV spectrum are park models. I don't know how many of you are familiar with those. They're like a small manufactured home. Usually they're permanently placed and attached to utilities. Would you want to allow somebody to use one of those as a vacation rental? How about an accessory dwelling unit?
People do that.
Yes, people.
I
do.
always think it's weird when the Airbnb is like, do you wanna stay, with somebody? No, I don't wanna stay with somebody. I don't wanna stay where somebody's on the same property. It's weird.
Yeah, the whole purpose of ADUs is to create new housing opportunities. So that if you then rent them out as vacation rentals, kind of defeats that purpose, but it's something we should think about.
That is a lot of things in other cities.
Right. And Lakeside currently has no apartments, but can apartments be vacation rentals? Some cities do that too.
Yeah, too, it's in another city.
It's something to think about. I think that's enough. No?
That's all, and that will move to item C, time, place, and manner of ordinance.
So I just have one question, one question on this, I have two counselors that believe the law specifically states that we are in fact required to designate a specific place. And if that is still an issue, I will ask Gary to provide a written legal memorandum stating whether or not we have to or we do not. I believe that is the only holdup on this ordinance at this time.
Yeah.
Okay,
I recalled that there was something in the ORS that was specific to people sleeping in their vehicles. And if they were sleeping in a vehicle, auto or an RV or whatever, if you wanted to move them from one piece of city-owned property to somewhere else, you had to give them another piece of city-owned property to go to. And you had to provide sanitation and trash services there.
okay.
I went looking for it to prepare for this meeting and couldn't find it. So I'm wondering if it's been revoked.
Okay, well, I will send this off to our attorney and have Gary provide a written legal recommendation regarding that issue. Next is the art contest and I believe, right? Art contest? The only thing that I've heard from people is to add language, basically saying that the city reserves the right to, basically refuse any and all entries.
Yeah.
But there's nothing on there that says if we don't like your sign, we don't have to pick it. So is there anything else beyond that?
No, it could just be a second round, you know, submission.
Yeah.
You want to be kind about it.
Right, so I'm sure that we update it and we'll. So it's set for me first. All right, the last thing is the abatement process in the city of Lakeside essentially requires me to come before council. And have you pass a resolution authorizing me to proceed with the abatement process if necessary. So the resolution would specifically state that the council is giving me the authority to basically start the abatement process and follow any steps necessary per our code to complete that abatement process
On a particular property.
on a particular property. So mine's big, but what you have before you is what I would call my list. These are properties that have received citizen complaints, one or more, or one particular one I drive by every single day. So basically the question is, where, if anywhere, do you want me to start? I do have a company that has provided me a quote on several properties. We have a $5,000 budget for code enforcement that we have not touched. And so all of these properties fall within that budget. According to the company I have reached out to. But my question to council is where, if anywhere, would you like me to start?
You have a suggestion?
I'd rather follow us. You know, some of them are as simple as tag and tow, as I would call them, like RV Palooza. It's in violation of our code. You can't have more than one RV on in the residential. You know, and I went with
You wanna?
code names, if I didn't want to
My
advertise.
favorite one is
It is.
So I mean, essentially, this would be like a tag and tag and tow. Like I noticed them, they're tagged and I follow them the tow trucks and they leave. Like so the Cadillac has the birdie bye-bye. And the pack rats are both abandoned vehicles and Fords. So they would be more involved, potentially if a property owner, well,
That how. Yeah, it is.
yes, the pack rat,
Is that still Is DEQ still involved in that at all? I know at one point they were, and I don't know if you've been in.
They were at one point, so. I can tell you that. Bye Bye Birdie, the neighbor next to them has provided me with multiple pictures of rats.
Yeah.
Which according to our city attorney is gold, because that means we can walk on the property without a warrant.
Yeah.
Because it officially poses a public health risk.
Yes.
The Pack Rat Palace, although that has been done, this particular individual has at multiple times brandished a weapon and threatened his neighbors. So it would require a warrant and the sheriff's department. So that administratively is a more intense process. But I'm willing to do it. I've already talked to one of our sheriff's deputies and the county code enforcement, and they said they would help me through the process if it comes to that.
What do you think would be the simpler of any of those to begin with?
Which one do you
What
want to
if we
start
can
with?
get a result?
Ideally, which one do you want to start with?
I mean, time wise, the easiest one would be something like RV Palooza, where it's notify them, it's tag it, tow it.
If you have the provided photography of
Yeah.
the Birdie Bye Bye.
Birdie Bye Bye, it's not so much of a fort as it is just junk. You know, it would be a cleanup process. And then, you know, the baker's dozen it's kind of in the middle. There's a little bit of cleanup that would need to be done, but most of it's contained in the abandoned and illegally parked vehicles. So,
So back to the question you're asking then, right, is do we wanna
I would,
authorize you to
Mhm.
go ahead with the process?
yeah, so I would say,
I'd say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
so I would say Cadillac House, RV Palooza. And Birdie Bye Bye are the easiest.
Do we still have a photo enforcement committee?
We do, yeah, it's called Mayor Nikki Wood. Yeah.
Really, four of us were on that committee, so
Yeah.
Why would we authorize?
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Okay, well then I will drop the resolution and bring it to council. I wasn't sure like if the council wanted me to start with like the properties that are more visible. Like there is one on 8th Street that, you know, is more visible to people coming in and out of town. So did you want me to start with that?
An airport way too.
Yeah. So,
We've previously had a consensus that, health and safety was the, was not priority.
okay. So that would be more of Birdie Bye Bye and whatever I named it, Back Rat Palace.
It's also the attractive nuisance thing.
Yeah, I think Blackout Palace can consume all of your time and resources with little,
Oh,
with
easily.
little.
Yeah,
So,
and
you
it,
know, although that's the worst one,
I mean, I can certainly start with, you know, Birdie Bye Bye, and that would give us a starting point of where, you know, $5,000 gets us.
yeah.
Okay, I can tell you that, the two RV places have received letters noticing them that, they have a certain amount of days to vacate, or, I'm gonna start finding them $200 per day per violation.
Because they're on city right away too.
It's not even that, it's that they're both in the residential district, and per our code, you can only have one recreational vehicle on a residential property. And anything beyond that constitutes a violation, which,
Actually, it's not zone specific.
Oh.
You can only have one RV on a lot unless the lot is an RV park, a campground, and an RV storage business.
oh, awesome, okay,
Doesn't matter what zone it's in.
oh, fantastic. Okay, well, anyways, so those letters went out, the smaller of the issues were given 15 days. The bigger of the issue was given 30 days. And they were informed because it's actually 2 lots that for these procedures, and these were reviewed before our city attorney, that as far as this code enforcement was concerned, the properties would be treated as one because they're owned by the same individuals. So,
So you didn't need a formal motion?
no, not yet.
Consensus.
Yeah, this was just kind of to get an idea of where council wanted me to start, which is health and safety, so. Yeah, the abatement process is very involved. And the way our code's written, I have to have the council's permission, and so. But Gary did say the council could pass one resolution essentially authorizing me to take whatever steps were necessary. So that's what will come before you. At the next council.
Cool.
Cool.
Now the.
Yeah.
Council and council comments, anybody got anything you want to say?
Yeah, tomorrow from tomorrow from 10 to noon, is City Hall cleanup, where basically just tearing that up, it's going to assist Dennis and cleaning out the rest of the front flower beds. Our sewer guys did a dump run, and then at 1 o'clock at Fire Power Sports, we're going to, us and the ladies of Lakesides and LBO are going to replant the fish planters.
I wish Friday is one for some chaotic activity.
Yeah.
So you still need volunteers for tomorrow,
Yes, at 1 o'clock,
and the volunteers. Oh,
Pretty
1 o'clock,
yes.
we think 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock is city cleanup, which is really just Dennis and Terry, but if you really want to come help.
If you want to get help, Dennis and Terry.
That's what I'm getting at, so what should I bring to help them?
Well, you up for it?
Okay.
Pony chairs and maybe a shovel,
Okay.
gloves. What?
The baby cake, please, and.
Well, this is work training. Can't make motion.
We didn't make a motion, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I left that off the agenda and there was comments about how we really needed to approve the agenda, so I left it on there.
But, don't be motion to one session. I don't know where you are with that.
Okay, I'll take it off the agenda then.
Strike that. Yeah, we did.
We did, yeah,
On me.
then me.
Anything else? Great. Meeting's adjourned.